Welcome to this little review of this beauty. A couple of things to go over because early reviews and sometimes even the manual doesn't cover it when it comes to at least these budget type of keyboards. Boot up time is just over 10 seconds. The headphone amp is powerful enough to actually power 250 ohm headphones, so you can plug in anything you want basically. The power supply is supplied with the unit, thankfully, and it's a run-of-the-mill kind of power supply, so if you lose it or if it gets damaged, you can easily replace it. The difference between the Go Keys 5 and the Go Keys 3 is simple. It comes down to the speakers, which are supposedly better on the Go Keys 5, more on that later, and the number of input and output jacks. Here I'm just going to throw up an image so you can see for yourself. The main difference, though, with the Go Keys 5 is that you also get quarter-inch outputs, which is lovely, and an expression pedal input and a microphone input. As for the quality of the speakers, they are adequate, I guess, especially when you consider the price, which, by the way, for the Go Keys 5 is 400 quid, and for the Go Keys 3 it's 300 quid. Might vary a little bit where you live, really, but it's going to be roughly $100 difference. Is it worth it to get the more expensive one? I'd say yes, because I like having quarter-inch jacks, and because I don't mind the 100 quid, and because I like the added functionality of the expression pedal input and the microphone input, because you never know when you're going to need them, right? But if you don't need these things, get a 300 quid one, because they are functionally identical. Same keyboard, same sounds, same features. Are the speakers worth the difference? I can't say that because I've never heard the Go Keys 3 speakers, but the Go Keys 5 speakers, they're not the best, really. You can practice with them, but as soon as you introduce a sort of full sound, like a full beat and some bass sounds, then you will quickly notice that they simply can't hold up. You'll also need a PA if you want to play live with this, because these do not get as loud as you might think. They're completely adequate for single practice at home. You might even disturb your neighbors. They do get that loud, but if you want to entertain the room, not the right choice to get a PA system. As for playing quietly at home, the loudness of the keyboard is something which often simply gets overlooked. Let me try and demonstrate it. Repetition speed is fine, by the way, so if you're a pianist and you care about these things, you might just appreciate that. You can also play expressively on this keyboard. If I just go from about the lowest sound I can make to the loudest. It's a decent velocity curve, really, and I have to really whack it and also produce an audible loud sound in the room, simply because the keys are, well, making a physical noise, and they're resting on top of my desk, which happens to be a resonant body, so the sound gets amplified even more. All I'm trying to say is you can play expressively with it. Would I recommend it for a pianist? No, because the pivot point is right around here. So if you play some advanced chords and you play them up here, up the keys, right, you're going to have a really hard time trying to just play them nicely. They're either going to sound too quiet or too loud, because pressing up here is relatively hard. Simple physics, right? So if you're a pianist, I recommend getting a digital piano over this. But if you're anyone else other than a pianist, this might be for you. Why? Keyboard is fine. It's non-sticky. It's springy. You can play expressively with it. It has a decent length, by the way. These are not mini keys. These are full-size keys. Except for the length, they are 14 centimeters, and normal piano keys are 15 centimeters, at least on my Kawai MP7 SE, which I love to bits for its keyboard, but that's a different story. But yeah, if you just want to play on these, anyone can have a go at them, whether you're a beginner or a pro, really, it doesn't make a difference. Nevertheless, and coming back to the sort of overview thing, I would not recommend you take this on stage. Why? Two reasons, actually. The first one being that most of these settings are buried in menus. Now, they're easy to access, you know, they're just 1 or 2 clicks away usually. And kudos for Roland, or to Roland, for designing something which is easily navigatable. I do not have to open a manual to find my way around this. If I want to enable a global effect, I can just hit effects, press on and off, cycle through them, edit them. It's easy enough to do, really. But I have to go into that menu in order to be able to do that. Some other products, for example, Nord, which I've been using on stage for a couple of years, have usually dedicated buttons for these kinds of things. And that really can make a difference. which is not to say that you're not able to perform live on stage with this just fine if you know it inside out, but I am saying that you have to get to know the instrument and basically be able to hit these buttons blind if you perform live, because once you're on stage, you're going to be stressed, and it's easy to just press here instead of here. Whilst I was trying to record this, that actually happened to me, which is why I bring it up. Now, this might just be my dorky little fingers making that mistake, but it might also happen to you. Just a thing. The other reason why I wouldn't necessarily recommend you to take this on stage is the ruggedness of it. It's a plastic enclosure, it's totally fine. It came with no factory defects, which is nice because it's not a given these days anymore for some reason. I had lots of faulty products arrive at my doorstep. I don't know why. Could just be me again. Anyway, this thing is made out of plastic. It can probably take a beating or two, but I don't think it's rugged enough to fly down the stairs and survive unscratched or without, I don't know, a key being damaged or something like that. Certain instruments are built for the road, and these budget-type keyboards likely aren't as robust as these more premium keyboards, right? It's not just always about the sounds. Sometimes the high price tag is justified, but that's just my view. Anyway, I'm not endorsing either Roland or Nord, by the way. I've bought all of my gear with my own money. Back to the review. So you're free to take this on stage, but please do take care of this little beauty. It might get damaged. Okay, pitch bend. Adequate pitch bend wheel. Feels just fine. You can play with it just fine. It's not weird. It's got a nice bit of resistance to it, actually. It's not wobbly either. Well, not too much. You get that kind of wobble, which you can see, or probably not see, everywhere on every key bed. Another great thing about it is that you can actually adjust the pitch bend range. It's not limited to 2 semitones up or down. You can set it to, I believe, 5, 7, 12, and anything in between, which is brilliant, really. Continuing with the feature tour, you get 2 sounds at the same time, which you can freely select, which you can combine, which is lovely. You can also, split them. As you can see here, split. See, that's what I mean with the fiddliness and the sort of lack of dedicated buttons, which is not to say that it's impossible to do it right. Unlike me, it's just taking some time to get used to, right? So let's see, split mode. Split point is here. Are you free to set it? Yes, you are. Just hold down the split button, press the key, and now the split point is here. Which is brilliant. Love it. Why? Because a lot of keyboards either do not feature this, or it's buried in a menu, or you are set to fixed keys. On here, I can press any key I want. Yes, I do not get a physical indication like a light showing me where the split button is, but usually if you always do the same thing or perform the same way, then you'll have your split key remembered anyway. For example, for me, it's usually just right about here, so I'm free to play 2 octaves in the left hand and 3 in the right hand. And that's it. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Continuing with the features, you get tons of sounds, and they all sound excellent. Not just your standard pianos, which sound nice, or your digital pianos. My bad. I mean, listen to that. Let me find something nice and wide. This. Ooh. Yeah, why not? Let's put some nice chorus on here. Phaser, maybe. Let's go, of course. I mean, listen to that. Okay, maybe a little bit higher. And yes, I can edit the chorus and make it even wider, which is lovely. The master effects are decent. They get applied to both the style which is playing and the individual sounds. As for the individual sounds themselves, well, I can set an effect, one, by the way, but thankfully Roland have been kind enough to include a really, 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 really quite extensive list of effects. There we go. And you might have been able to spot so-called chorus. No, sorry, Juno chorus. There we go. And I'm not so sure what Roland have tried to do with that, because it doesn't sound like a Juno chorus to me at all. And for some reason, they've introduced a loud noise floor with it, so it makes it unusable, at least for me. But all the other effects I've tried so far sound excellent. Maybe Roland will be able to fix that Juno chorus. Maybe people want it to sound that way. I don't know. But you're not fixed to it. You're not limited to it. You know, you're free to just adjust it, which is brilliant. Continuing with some sounds, you get strings, all kinds of strings, by the way. Everything you could possibly wish for, likely. At least when you have that sort of budget thought in the back of your head, you know. You get lots of synth sounds as well, since this is basically a synth engine producing all of these sounds. But you also get nice other sounds, not just organs, with a rotary, by the way, which you can switch on and off. Let's see, where is it? Am I in the right setting? Expression effects type through. Oh, it's not even enabled. Okay, let's see. Let's choose another sound. Then I want to have a normal organ and play the upper part. Maybe this one. This one has a rotary. And you're free to adjust this speed here. It's a little bit cumbersome to play like this, and apparently there should be a feature where you're able to set the expression pedal input to control the rotary speed. I couldn't see it here, but it's featured in manual, so I may be running on an old firmware, or maybe they haven't implemented it yet, but it would be lovely if that would be a feature, because even though it's possible to play like this, you know, it would be more convenient to just have a pedal do that and not me having to fumble with this, even though you can just basically whack it and it will do what you want. It's possible. That's basically it. It's limited, but you can get places. And you're not limited to single sounds, by the way. There are some combo sounds in here, so you basically get an upper sound, which is comprised of 2 sounds or more. Maybe you haven't flicked through all of them yet, and a lower sound to combine with. But yeah, you also get, for example, here, a harpsichord or even a clav. This one. Let me turn off that thing here. It's a nice and rich sounding harpsichord now, isn't it? What about pure Celesta? Celestas aren't that easy to do, actually. But listen to how nice that sounds. I love it. What about, let's see, BS marimba? I don't think so. Toy box. Not my thing. What is that? Yankin. I don't know how to pronounce this. Nice sound. I would use this in a production. Yes, I would. I may not be qualified to talk about these things, but to me these sounds sound good. And I've been listening to synth and keyboard sounds and synthesized sounds and samples for years. So I feel qualified to say that these do not sound bad at all. And you get a decent selection. You get distorted guitars with a distortion effect and a master distortion effect. So if you want to get gritty, you can. That doesn't sound like a guitar feedback too. But, oh, it's just a feedback. Okay, why not, you know? Distortion, there we go. Let's see, do we have some distortion already? Drive, ooh, let's crank that. FX type, guitar delay, tremolo, chorus, phaser. Yeah, some chorus. Now let's put a distortion on there. Why not, right? And actually, you get to choose between different amp type simulations, which is lovely. I mean, small, built-in, 2-stack, 3-stack, and so on and so forth. Well, I should enable it. Let's go back to this. It's a bit fiddly, but it works. Can you ask for more in a budget keyboard? It's brilliant. at least to me. Continuing with some features which are not that common, at least not in a combination. What do I mean with that? Well, basically, why this thing is brilliant is not just because of the quality of the sounds or the price, but because it manages to squeeze and mash together so many different features. Yes, they've all been around for ages, and yes, they have been present in more expensive products. But to me, this is a first. Being able to sequence chords individually, and you're not limited to 4 steps, by the way. You can, let's see. Almost the wrong thing. Setting, I believe. Measure length, there we go. Increase them up to 256 measures. So you can write a full song with this, basically. With ease, and have it be sequenced. It's not something which you need to play back or playing yourself, which is what the song mode is for, basically. You can just sequence the chords however you want, and it's as simple as doing this. Hit enter. Maybe choose a different sound. Can I have that? Ah. It's because of the distortion. Back home, here. There we are. Okay, so it's as simple as just entering a couple of chords, right? Let's see. And hitting play. Let's say I'm not a fan of this chord sequence. Well, I'm free to just swap it out for something else. I can save what I just did there, or I can browse a list of, let's see, 304 chords, which is brilliant because they can get you going more or less immediately. Let's check out, for example, 42, because it's the answer to everything, right? There we go. Let's listen to what that sounds like. Bit of a shoddy answer if you ask me. How about something else, an especially different style? How about kawaii pop? I don't know what that will sound like. Let's see. Let's just do this. Why not? Thank you, Cowbell. The point of this little demonstration is that you should have been able to see and hear that the chord sequencer is not tied to the style and is not tied to the sound either. You're free to swap them out. It's not just a preset which you have to work with. You can edit them individually, which is great. Now, this is also limited because if you want to, for example, mute or adjust the rhythm, you can mute either the drums or the bass or the accompaniment or any combination of them, but you have to be aware that you can't adjust the individual drum sounds and you can't adjust really any other nuances of this. This is what you get. Yes, you can adjust the individual volumes, which is great, but that's about it. What you do get, however, it's another thing which is in the arranger, and we'll get to the difference between the two in a second. Just have to control whether or not the camera is still running because I think it will run out of battery eventually during the small little review. Right, let's choose a different style for this. Let's go with something else for a change. Cynical 8-beat, cosmic pop, city pop. What does city pop sound like? Nice chord. What this allows you to do is to select from an intro and an ending. You get a short one and a long one for all the styles and 4 variations, which is brilliant. The arranger also allows you to just jam along if you disable the chord sequencer. There we go. And by jam along, I mean that you can actually tell the arranger which chords to play. For example, like this. It's lovely. It's a basic functionality which many budget keyboards have had, but I can see the chord here and it actually recognizes it nicely enough. And I can still play with two sounds over it and still have it recognize the chords. And I can vary it on the fly as well. And even apply effects. It's just a combination of all of these things which really make this into working instruments. As stated, others have had these features as well, but I've never seen a budget keyboard which has this feature actually, where I can just go in and basically just jot down whatever it is that I want or feel like. It sounds a bit shoddy there, but I think that's due to the sound I've got selected. Right, so that's the chord sequencer and the arranger and the song mode. Now, what are scenes? Scenes are combinations of styles and sounds and effects, basically. What's the purpose of those? Well, they can get you going really rather quickly. For example, let's choose anything. Actually, well, not an initial scene. I want to show something. Right, let's go with rocking country. Why not? Let's have a look at what that is. I just saw the sound. It's a mad organ. And since it says rocking country, and since this is a 1-4-5 progression, I'm free to jam. Enough of my shoddy playing. It's basically just to demonstrate how easy it is to get going. You just select something, a prefab if you want to call it that, talking SNH, I don't know what that is. Have a look at the chords. Perhaps not the best demonstration. Let's do something else. Sparkle pop. No. Mellow down, why not? That should be easy enough. And you're off, really. What else do you get? Well, you get to set or save your own scenes like I did in the intro. And if I bring that up again, select it, you can see that the sound is there, the effect is there, the chord sequence is there, even the arrangement is there, which is brilliant. So you can basically save whole sounds. Well, not whole sounds, that too, but whole songs. There we go. And be ready to perform with them. You also get a metronome with various measures, just like the styles. They're not limited to 4/4, which is brilliant. You get 3/4, 6/8, all that lovely stuff. You can even change the tone of the metronome, you know. It's just, it's lovely. You also get Bluetooth functionality. I will not be getting into that. It basically allows you to stream audio, as I understand it. You can transpose the whole thing. You can arpeggiate, which is really important for some people, if you were to enable it. You get up, down, and random. That's it. Would be nice if there were more options, I guess, but I can live with it. You get a sync functionality and a hold functionality. All nice features, really. And yeah, I could not ask for more except for a couple more scenes, and maybe in a future iteration, a couple of more direct access buttons and slightly more tactile buttons. These are fine, but you know, it's easy to miss them. If you're going for the style and you press here, for example, or maybe here, and not hit it dead center, for example. Right now I'm pressing it down. Okay, there we go. It triggered it. But now I'm pressing it down. There's nothing happening, really. You really have to press it dead center. That's not really a complaint. It's just a thing to keep in mind when you're performing with it, you know, because it's easy to miss. Okay, I hate it. It's easy to miss the button when you're performing live. I really do mean it. I've been on stage often enough to know what I'm talking about. Anyway, doesn't matter. Basically, these are the only things I would wish for in a future thing. Really, everything else is fine. Oh yeah, and a mod wheel. Please do add a mod wheel. Gotta have that stuff. Other than that, it's fine. Even the screen is fine. It's legible, even from far away, and even with my poor eyesight, and even if I'm looking at it from an angle. The camera's looking straight down. I'm looking from like here. I can read it just fine. And you can even adjust the, whatchamacallit, not the exposure, the contrast. There we go. As for contrast, this comes in two colors as of right now, black and white, I believe, or grey it is actually. And the Go Keys Free comes in a couple more colors. I chose white, and it's a nice white. It's not a sparkly white. It's some sort of soft white. It looks nice. It feels nice. It plays nice. It sounds nice. It handles nice. It's brilliant. So, go get one, I guess. Have a good one. Bye-bye. One more quick fact, which I forgot to mention, that would be the polyphony count. It's not 32 or 64 or some number like that. According to Roland, to their FAQ, it's supposed to be 256 combined for the drums and the individual sounds, meaning that it's basically coming down to how much the processor can handle. And it varies, by the way. It's not a set 256, so if the sounds are more demanding, or if the styles are more demanding, I guess you get less overall. But honestly, if you can do this, which you can, it's just fine. So polyphony, yes, thankfully.